Welcome to Sold with Webinars, a podcast that aims to uncover how the most successful experts, coaches, consultants, and e-course professionals sell their products and services with just one sales presentation or webinar. A simple sales webinar can transform the business and life of a solopreneur. And this podcast will show you how other experts just like you are generating 6 and 7 figures per year online with their webinars. So let's get started. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and welcome to another episode of Sold with Webinars. Guys and gals, you are in for an absolute treat today. I just finished up my solo episode for you all today, and we talked about quite possibly a $120 million marketing lesson. So what I talked about today is slightly more advanced in the marketing world. However, if you pay attention and you understand what I'm talking about, and I give you a very clear example of what we're talking about with this advanced marketing tactic, I promise you it will open up more doors and more opportunities as you start advertising and promoting and getting your webinars out to the market. And quite honestly, you can apply this to almost any sort of marketing tactic and marketing strategy. It's very powerful, and it is a little bit advanced, but I tried to break it down for you as best I could today. Hope you enjoy this episode. Quite possibly this is worth, I paid $30,000 to learn this, and I wanted to share it with you. So hope you enjoy it. And at the end, feel free to drop me a line. I want to get some feedback on this episode. Did it make sense? Are you able to implement it? And I just want to connect. All right. Without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sold with Webinars. Joel here, and today I'm going to hit you up with some very, very important lesson when it comes to massive scalability in your marketing. So I'm on my way to the airport right now and about to go pick up my in-laws. They are flying home from Las Vegas. Very jealous of them. Last week, I was in Dallas for the entire week and masterminding with some high-level people, lots of people that you probably know in the marketing space, a couple people that you don't know. There's one guy actually in there from his clients are United Nations presidents. Like they are leaders of the free world. Those are his clients. A very fascinating individual. Anyway, just learned a lot. I love going to masterminds. I love going to these meetings. They take a toll on the travel, but it's good to see different perspectives, right? We all fall victim to the expert's curse, which is we can't see our own label from inside the bottle. We're too close to our own product to really see how we can communicate it with other people. The week before, I have recently just invested a hefty amount of money, $30,000 to be exact, in bettering my webinar skills for you all. As we continue down this path of sharpening our own axe, sharpening our tools, whatever tool you are proficient in, right? You're never the best. Like, you're never as good as you think you are. And I've been podcasting now for about almost 2 years. I've been running Sold with Webinars for 2 years. I've looked at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of webinars. And quite literally, I've looked at most likely more webinars than anybody that I can think of. I just do it on a consistent basis. I've done it for a long time. And I'm always learning, right? Even webinars are always changing. And it's just kind of a testament to remind ourselves that no matter what you are doing, you have to keep doing it. You have to keep sharpening your axe. So I invested $30K into a mastermind to better, well, it's actually private coaching, to better my webinar skills and better my funnel skills and better my marketing and affiliate relationship skills. I've got a couple of partner projects that I'm working on that are primed to explode. And I wanted to make sure that we could get the maximum bang for our buck with those webinars. So anyway, I was talking to this guy who runs this mastermind and who runs this program that I invested a lot of money into. And this is a guy who has done tens of millions of dollars, well over $120 million total in online sales, in direct marketing sales. And a good chunk of that was done with webinars. Now, he is in the Make Money Online space. So all of his webinars have come in the Make Money Online space. And so it is fascinating because as we all try to learn these formulas, right, these templates of what's going to work and what is that perfect webinar sales script that will work for me, what I've noticed is that I've probably talked about this, 20 or 30 episodes ago, how I was not really supporting the hero's journey story. I don't really want to go down this rabbit hole again because I don't want to contradict myself. I still don't believe that the hero's journey is important in the very beginning. However, this guy who does well over $100 million with webinars, he does. He uses the hero's journey in the beginning of his webinars, and his webinars are very, very long, sometimes 2 to 3 hours, which, I think in the Make Money Online space, because that market is so used to business opportunity and it's like they have more time than money, right? We talk about the importance of valuing what your market values. If you're marketing to the affluent, they value their time more than their money, so you have to have a short sales cycle. The shorter the messages, the better, because they do not want to spend their time, which is costing them more than whatever their investment is, to work with you. Okay, so the exact opposite is true for people who value their money over their time. If they value their money over their time, then that means that they are willing to sacrifice more of their time to save money. Like, they need to think more about the buying process to make sure it's the right decision for them. Make sense? Okay, so getting back to this guy who's done over $100 million in sales, he does very long webinars, and his introduction, he doesn't even get to the content until 45 or 50 minutes into the presentation. Okay, so one of the things, so that was like a first big lesson that I learned, right? Because I have seen that not work in other industries. In fact, most of my webinars are relatively short. They're, an hour to 70 minutes max, and I only spend about 5 to 10 minutes on the introduction. Okay, so that's how I do them. But it's always good to get different perspectives. And this guy, his numbers are through the roof, so I know this works for him. He swears by him. So here's the other thing that I learned. I want to talk to you about going blind. So when you start running paid traffic, when you start running paid advertising to anything that you are doing, you have to keep the mass market in mind. If you keep the mass market, like the largest market that you can possibly have within your market, right? Because we have different subsegments within our market. Like there's cold, there's medium, there's hot traffic. Hot means they're very much aware of your thing. They're very much aware of your product, your methodology, and they're likely just considering whether to work with you or to whether to work with a competitor or an alternative, right? But that's going to be the smallest segment of the market. You back up, you go to the warm market, and they are most likely problem aware, and then you go to the largest market where they're going to be unaware, but still looking for a new opportunity, right? So those are the three kind of basic segments of the market, and you can slice and dice that a little bit more, but for all intents and purposes, that is what I'm referring to here. So when you start running paid traffic or running to affiliates, you want to figure out, if you want to get the most bang for your buck, if you want to get the most longevity out of anything that you are doing, you want to figure out what the angle is that is going to speak to the masses. Now, this is very, very relevant to those who are in the kind of digital marketing space and info marketing space, but it applies to everyone, right? It applies to most products, most services, okay? So let's talk about going in blind. What do I mean by going in blind? Because going in blind is going to give you the mass market appeal, as mass market as you can possibly do, right? If I were to come up with a headline that is, let's use my old webinar as an example. I was running traffic to a webinar that said, hey, how we write $1 million sales webinars for our clients in any niche possible. Okay. Who do you think that is speaking to? This is actually an exercise that I do when I critique my clients' webinars and when I critique, just other webinars that I'm studying. I want to know, based on their headline, based on how I got into the webinar, I want to see if I can identify who it is that they're actually speaking to. This is a very valuable exercise that you can do if you're trying to sharpen your marketing skills. analyze headlines and figure out from that headline if you can identify exactly who they are trying to speak to. Now, here's the thing. If you can't identify exactly who they are speaking to, they are likely going in blind. Now, this is more of an advanced marketing tactic. I'd say it's actually rather advanced. And I don't recommend everybody do this right out the gate. I actually recommend the exact opposite, meaning starting as hot as possible and then working your way backwards to cold markets. But this is a very valuable lesson to understand the power of knowing your target audience and communicating that. So let's go back to my example, how we write $1 million webinars in any niche for our clients. I ran this basically, September of 2017, September, October, and it bombed. I'll be flat out honest with you, it bombed, and I know why it bombed now. Part of it was because I was going way too niche. I was going to way too, my market was way too hot. Okay, it was actually part of the reason why I came up with the mini webinar, and we did change our target, we did change our message, but running paid ads to people who are already familiar with webinars, it was a very expensive exercise to run paid traffic to. The more niche you advertise, the more expensive it becomes because you're now competing with a lot more people for that particular avatar. Okay? The more competition it is, supply and demand, the more competition, the more expensive it's going to be, and your advertising economics will go through the window. So that's advertising to a hot market. Not saying it can't be done, but for a mass market webinar, it is counterintuitive. And so we were unprofitable with that angle. So then when we change our message to speak to copywriters and marketers, saying how we get paid to write $1 million webinars for our clients, our cost per lead dropped through the roof. And it was because we changed our market to be a little bit more blind. Okay, and I wouldn't even say it's a little bit more blind, but we did go mass market. And it's how we get paid, and we opened up our audience. Now, going blind will never reveal the what in the title. Now, in my title, the what is webinars, right? The more you pre-identify the what, the more people are going to instantly dismiss it because of preconceived notions that they have to the what. Whether they are true or false, they have preconceived notions with the what. Do you understand what I'm saying there? If somebody has a preconceived notion, some of those people will have objections and they will not be interested, which means you slice off a big segment of your market when you lead with the what. Now, going in blind never leads with the what. Going in blind doesn't reveal the what until you are midway through your sales letter, your sales webinar, until they're hooked, until they're in, right? And so with what I learned with going in blind is that it can boost your conversion rate by, I want you to guess, right? Let's just assume that going in blind will actually boost your conversion rate. How much do you think it's actually going to boost? This is stats that I learned in this marketing mastermind that I just paid $30,000 for. Now, this is a guy who ran 2 different webinars, exact same offer, led one blind and led one leading with the what. What do you think the conversion rate boost was when he went blind? All of the rest of the content was the same. He just went in blind with the headline. 300%. He got 3 times as many sales when he went in blind than he did when he went in leading with the what. Isn't that crazy? I never would have thought that. I actually would have thought the exact opposite. The reason why, I actually don't I can make a guess, I can make assumptions as to why it converts a lot better. But I was talking with this guy and he's like, yeah, Joel, it's crazy. 3 times as many sales, 3 times better performance with this webinar going in blind than we did leading with the what. I'm like, well, dude, don't your people get angry when you haven't revealed what the what is until 45 minutes into the webinar? And he's like, you would think so. And you do get some people who are angry. Just tell me. But the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. 3 times as many sales when you go in blind. And that just goes to show you, you have to be able to filter out the noise. People want to be led. People want to be led. And when you lead with the opportunity, that's what this guy was doing, was leading with the opportunity. How I made X number of dollars in 30 days without, I can't remember what it was, but it was a business opportunity webinar. And it was how I made X number of dollars in, last year without doing X, Y, and Z. So he led with the opportunity and didn't reveal the what until 45 minutes into the webinar. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it. But it just goes to show you, people want to be led. And if you can give them a reason to pay attention, to stick around, and to listen to what it is that you have to say, they will reward you. Even if you have to toy them along and string them along for a little while. Now, I don't mean string them along in an unethical way, but what this guy does is he tells his hero's journey story, and he relates to his audience early on in the very beginning. It's a little different than how I do my webinars, but like I said, this is why I'm always sharpening my axe, because I can apply this to different markets that I'm working on. Going in blind with this market is extremely powerful. And I think going in blind with almost any market will probably yield better results, because you can get a lower cost per lead, and I can guarantee that it will almost always turn into better results and allow you to go to the mass market at scale, because you are not speaking to somebody's pre-existing objections. Because I bet even if they had pre-existing objections, if you spent 30 or 45 minutes or spent some time kind of educating them on why your what is the way to go, you'll get them to listen and you'll get them to be able to change their mind. Does that make sense? Okay, so that is the message that I've got with you. It's all about going blind. And guys and gals, this is a very powerful marketing lesson. Very, very powerful. It is slightly more advanced. I always start out going hot first, and then I work my way back to the cold market. But this guy was sending tons of affiliate traffic, tons of JV webinars, and he was absolutely crushing it. So he's doing something right. That is why I paid him $30,000. And I guarantee that single piece of advice will more than pay off for the investment alone. All right, that's what I've got for you guys all today. I need to go. I'm picking up my in-laws at the airport. I appreciate all of you. If this makes sense to you, go ahead and drop me a line over at joel@thewebinaragency.com. In the previous episode, I asked you guys to give me feedback on my on my analogies of the selling the fruit inside the bowl, not the bowl, and the Christmas present analogy. Got a lot of feedback. Some of you were quite confused with the fruit bowl analogy, but you loved the Christmas box analogy, the Christmas tree analogy. So that is why I'm asking for feedback. And also, I just love talking to you. So shoot me a line, joel@thewebinaragency.com. Would love to hear from you. And we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to giving you the next one. If you're serious about launching your own sales webinar, here are a few resources to check out. For free access to the software that we built internally for the webinar agency to train our copywriters, head to soldwithwebinars.com to sign up for a free trial to the Webinar Vault and get access to regular webinar breakdowns that are generating hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one on your webinar project, head to thewebinaragency.com for more details. And finally, be sure to subscribe to my other podcast, Experts Unleashed, where I interview changemakers and entrepreneurs to discover how they create opportunity to turn their expertise into income. Be sure to join us next time, and I'll see you there.